Hello and welcome to Loving Me, Myself, and Life with me, Jody Misiak. Today, we're going to talk about keeping things simple. As human beings, we can sometimes overcomplicate things or overthink things and then they become complicated. Or sometimes we just pack so much into a day that when we look at it, we're like, wow, we really did fit that into a whole day, or, just different things. So today we're going to talk about how to simplify your life. What can you do? Simple things to do to, keep things simple. So a big one for me that I've realized over the time is when you schedule something in, and if you've been following me, you've heard me say this like a million times probably, but what you schedule in gets done. In a different episode recently, I mentioned about how I was feeling overwhelmed. It was a stress one. Let's talk about stress. How I actually use my planner, and I was feeling overwhelmed by how much I had to do. And then I looked at my calendar and was like, okay, there's still enough time to do everything, but scheduling things in is so important. Now, being a mom, some things happen. And in general, life happens where, you don't have control over everything. So it happens. Sometimes my kid's sick or one of them or both of them, or, just so many different things going on. So I can only plan so well. And then I have to be, it has to be okay with like pivoting and adjusting things. That's part of life. And that's why I try not to over plan anything anymore. So what I've realized is because I have to do this with my business as well. I have certain days that I do stuff like here, recording podcast episodes. I pick a day and I sit down, I'm really centered and things like that. And then there's other days where I'm doing other things, but I can't control everything. I can't control if the power goes out or if my kid's homesick. Now, luckily, I have my husband to lean on and he can help. There has been days where I'm like, I really need to work this day, and we figure things out. We work together. But scheduling it in. So it's like if you're finding that something is always getting at the bottom of your list, and it's one of the things that would help your life feel good, be better, anything like that. Like me time, right? If your me time is just not happening, it's time to look at your planner, your schedule, wherever it is. It's in your phone, or I like my hard copy, just easier. I don't always like being on my phone. In fact, most of my time, my phone's on silent. Anyways, fun fact about me, I don't like being tied in different directions when I'm trying to work. Okay, so hard copy for me, but it's just writing it down then and making it happen. And then obviously being mindful that things might change, but trying to make it, a priority. Like what you schedule in gets done. Like I remember back, we couldn't get our kids into swimming lessons. There's just not enough instructors. It opens at 6:00 in the morning to register. And my husband did it one day when we actually knew when it was being registered, and he got in and he had everything sent at 6:10 and it was already full. 6:10, he started right when it opened, but I guess his computer was too slow. I don't know, but it was full. So we kind of gave up on trying to give the kids swimming lessons, even though we live by the ocean. We live by water everywhere. We have lakes and oceans all over the place. We're surrounded. So we made a commitment to our children and to ourselves to schedule in swim time at the pool. So we became our kids' teachers. Because when the first year we were here, they didn't have the swimming anymore. We had a pool in our backyard where, in Ontario before and things like that, because we weren't by oceans and lakes. So they were practicing there, and we also had them in swimming lessons at least twice a year. So, but we had to make a commitment, because if we didn't schedule a day, it wouldn't get done. Just like I actually have a day that I do stuff around the house. I also have a day that I take care of me, because I know if I don't, it doesn't get done. And it is actually really easy sometimes to just kind of mow over that day too, right? Oh, I don't have time for me today. I need to do this instead. But we got to try our best to make us a priority, and the things that matter to us a priority. I think about it's there's certain things that I would never miss of my kids. I would never miss this and this of their of spending time with them and different things. And it's okay, I need to give myself that same respect and not miss something for me. So it's really important to look at things differently, but also schedule it in. Like I said, the swimming lessons, they now consistently show up every week and go swimming. And my oldest can now be left at the pool on their own. And I can confidently be okay with that. Like they went and met up with a friend the other week. And I felt so good. Like there was a time where I didn't think that was going to happen. But like they're usually in a different area than my husband and my youngest. So it can happen. So it's just about being like consistently showing up for yourself or whatever it is that you want to fit in and putting it in the schedule. It's super, super important. So big one is scheduling it in. And then you're like, oh my goodness, I can't find room. It's so full. Another area of scheduling is figuring out where you have like time leaks or energy leaks. And that is, TV time. Like how much are you spending on the TV? And be real with yourself. It's okay. Be honest. If you're not honest with yourself, then you can't see what's really there and make a change. So be honest with yourself. Like how much are you watching TV? And I'm not counting that time that you were sick and you were laying in bed watching TV. Don't count that. But I mean like on a daily basis, on a regular basis. What are you doing TV, social media, email, just looking at your day, your week, and your month. Where are you spending your time? And I'm not saying to throw away your TV or deactivate your social media accounts. I'm not saying that. Like, don't go extreme. I'm not talking about extreme. I'm talking about like just being mindful of your time. There's some really cool apps out there that can shut down your apps if you've spent too much time, or even just count how much time. I know at one point I was like, ooh, I'm spending a lot of time on Facebook. And I actually had an app that let me know exactly how much time. And it's just an eye-opener. It's not about any blame or guilt or shame. It's just about awareness. Just being aware of how much. Because if you just cut your time in any of those areas down by a little bit, you now found time for you. Cool, huh? Time for a bath or a walk or whatever it is that, you want to do. Maybe it's learn something new, a language, or read a good book. Like things, it's amazing. You can find so much time when you're looking at your time leaks and energy leaks. It's also like hanging out with negative people that don't fill you up. Like with me being like a highly sensitive person, and also like I have this like fun thing about like introvert extrovert where I need to be social, but I really need a lot of me time too. Like I need to be alone a lot. Is finding that fun balance and just being aware of it, but like highly sensitive. Like depending on which crowd I'm hanging out with, I can be like super, super like wiped out from being around people too long, or depending on on the people, the conversations and stuff. So it's being mindful of who are you hanging out with? How are you spending your time? How do you feel after? So it's just being mindful of your calendar, your schedule, where your energy's going, where you're getting energy from. If you have no areas where you're getting your energy, schedule some times in. And what does that look like? It could be a walk, hanging out with friends, a bath, getting near, I know for me, it's water. I love being by water. It fills me up. It's like, the sun and water, like so lovely. It's whatever fills you up and gives you energy. That needs to end up more on your calendar. So scheduling things in that will help you enjoy life more. And maybe you love cooking or baking, and that's something that you could do more of too. So it's really figuring out what it is you love to do. And we all have different interests. So it's getting to know yourself better. Ask yourself questions. Like, if I had all the time in the world, what would I be doing right now? If I didn't have to work, if I didn't have to take care of the kids, what would I be doing right now? If you had all the time in the world, what would you be doing? Write that out. Journal about it. And then take the little nuggets that you learn from that and implement them in your life. So maybe not every single moment of your life will look like that. But that doesn't mean that you can't do, this a little bit. Like maybe you want to learn to paint, or maybe you want to pick up your paintbrush again. And it's just finding, a little bit of time to do that. Making a commitment to yourself to find the time. Because when you really look at a week and your month, it's really amazing what can happen when you look at where you're putting all your energy and focus and time. Like, where is your time going? It's really, really incredible. So just kind of look at it under a magnifying glass with no judgment, just curiosity and awareness to see where you can make room. That's a big one, because maybe you do have too much on your plate. And let's talk about the next one then, is asking for help. And I say this with so much love. I grew up with my mom who did everything. Like, she was super mom. And now looking back now, she was not taking care of herself like one moment. She's actually my motivation for helping moms find more time for themselves, because I grew up with not having that. I could see the short fuses when my mom was like pushed to the brink of like not being able to do anything like for herself. So asking for help is important. It's not this sign of weakness. For the longest time, I had to work on myself to be okay with this. And even to this day, I sometimes don't want to, put anybody out, or I don't want to, ask for help over and over and like take advantage of somebody else, right? Like it can feel like that. Or even more like what I remember going like, if I can't do this all myself, then I'm not good enough. I'm not a good enough mom if I can't do this all myself. Or I'm not a good enough person if I can't figure this out myself. We are one person. We're not meant to do it all ourselves. It takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to live as well. Like, and it's not about like leaning on everybody and like never ever being able to do stuff yourself, but it's knowing when to ask for help. It's not needy. It's not selfish. Like, I actually just finally have people to watch our children so my husband and I can get away again for the first time in like over 3 years, possibly 4. We finally were like, hey, you know what? Like, let's have a conversation with somebody and have them take our kids for a weekend. Like, it just asking for help, but it's like, oh, that's a big ask. But it's like, we need to fill our own buckets, and our relationship is going to suffer if we don't take this time. So it's not about selfishness. It's about what's necessary. It's necessary to do things for you, to keep relationships going. A relationship can't just keep like sailing on without having some kind of conversations. And that includes ourselves. So it's okay to ask for help. If you need support, there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, it's needed. We're not all good at everything, and that's okay. And I've had to learn that with my own business. I do a lot. I wear a lot of hats because I am just, building up. I don't have this big team yet. My goal is, yes, but I have to learn a lot. But my strengths aren't everywhere. I definitely have a lot of weaknesses. And it's learning them, and then it's eventually like getting to a point where hopefully I can hire somebody to kind of help me raise up with my weaknesses, because I don't know everything. I don't have talents in every area, and that's okay. It's knowing when to put our best foot forward and when to ask for help. And it has taken me a long, long, long time to ask people for help. But when we're working on keeping things simple in our life, a big one is taking some of the load off our shoulders and having other people help us. We can't do it all ourselves, and that's okay. And actually, it's so empowering asking for help, because it means that it's like, okay, I know I need some help here. I need some support. Like me reaching out to a naturopath, like get some support on my health, like actively doing something, but asking for help because I don't know it all. And that's okay. Reaching out to coaches and therapists. Like, there's so many different things. We don't have all the answers ourselves. So it's getting support. And then other things like having people watch the kids, like just so many different things. We're even this year like getting somebody to mow our lawn, most likely, because we have so much. It's like we look at our things that we need to do on a daily basis. And it's like, okay, maybe there's enough hours in a day, but then where do we sit in those hours? Where do we like sleep, or when do we take care of ourselves? When do our needs get met? And the answer is like nothing. If like nothing's getting, like if we don't give something up, we're going to be put last, or something is going to fall through the cracks. And actually, when I was playing with some ideas of different things in my business and how to help moms and different things, I actually thought of this thing where it's like I could call something a break room. It's like, take a break before you do. So in asking for help, it's not It's not a weakness. You just don't want to break, right? Maybe you've been there where you're just like on go so much and then you snap and you're like, why did I snap? Or why did I yell? Or, different things. It's because you're at your break point and get some support. Okay. So schedule things in, look at your calendar, take some stuff away that is just no longer serving you. Start saying no to things that don't light you up and saying yes to more things that do. And then ask for help, support. You don't have to do this alone. And then another one is just taking breaks. It's kind of what I talked about last episode about slowing down. I call them mindful breaks or mindful checks. And you can just you're in the bathroom and you're just like, how am I feeling right now? Or wherever. You could just be in a moment and just take a minute and check in. Because when we have so much on the go, we forget to check in with ourselves. What are minds saying? Do we have positive thoughts, or are we saying there's not enough time in a day? Oh my goodness, I have so much to do. Are we on a crazy hamster wheel of negative thoughts? Or are we, pushing something aside because we don't even want to look at it? So taking a break every so often, you can even have it on your phone if you want an alarm, or whatever works for you really. And just take a break now and then and just do a little quick check-in. How am I feeling today? Or what's going on right now? Just a little check-in with yourself. Because sometimes, at least for me, I can be so busy being busy that I don't even know I'm busy. I'll just be going, and then I'll sit down at the end of the night going, oh, wow, yeeks, I am exhausted. I am physically, mentally, I'm done. I'm spent. I gave too much out and not enough in. Now, sometimes I'm in worker bee mode where I am we've been doing a lot of spring cleaning in areas that have kind of went to the wayside. And, we're just doing some major deep cleaning. And the one day it was really good, but I didn't take a lot of breaks. So sometimes it's okay in little doses, little bursts of things. However, if you do that for a whole week, it's pretty then you're just leaving yourself at the end, and it's gonna feel pretty rough. And in my experience, the longer you put yourself on the back burner, the longer it takes to feel better. So what do I mean by that? It's, envision a bowl of nice rocks or shiny crystals. And every time you help your child or, help somebody else, you're giving one of those beautiful crystals away. And if you keep handing them out, you get to the end and you're looking at this bowl and it's empty. That's you. Your energy is empty. But if you give a couple crystals away and then you do something for you that fills them back up and you get more crystals back, then that bowl kind of goes back and forth. It's never empty. Because when we get to the end and that bowl is fully empty, it takes a lot of energy and a lot of time to fill it back up. But if it's a back and forth kind of thing, a little out, a little in, it's easier. And I've been there where I'm I was just giving of every, just giving. And then I would be so drained. I'm whoa, what about me? So, it's a happy balance. And some days are going to be better than others. That day that we were cleaning, I could barely walk. My feet hurt so bad because it was up in this area. It's a loft room in our house that, wasn't getting enough love. We weren't utilizing it enough. So it has these long stairs up, and I was going up and down, clean, vacuuming and mopping. And we were rearranging furniture and moving things around and using that space in a nice way. And it feels good now. But I was walking up and down those stairs a lot, just in slippers, unfortunately. I should have been wearing running shoes. Anyway, so I hurt after. And I could only imagine I couldn't even do it more than a day, actually. It was just too much. But we can so easily put all of our attention in different areas of our lives and forget that we need to fill ourselves up too. So it's super important. So simplifying your life, take a moment to just check in with yourself and slow down. And another area is, and I've kind of been talking about this a little bit, but let's throw that out there fully, is setting healthy boundaries. So First off, setting healthy boundaries with ourselves. Like how much TV is, would you like to, like how much time would you spend on TV and yourself? And like it's setting healthy boundaries and saying yes more to things that light you up and no to the things that don't. And it's setting, like it can be, there's so much, like this is a huge conversation, but I know for me personally, the biggest boundary I had to set was with myself. Being mindful of my own energy, where it was going. And it's like, okay, no, I don't want to spend it doing this, or I don't want to spend all morning watching TV or all evening or whatever it is. And a big one, like I cut out a lot of social media. I actually haven't been on it much lately because I made a commitment to myself that at the end of the day, I'm not on my phone like after 10:30 because then it's an hour before bed. So it's just, I've been setting a lot of personal boundaries with myself. But sometimes there's people in our lives that, even kids, like I've had to set boundaries with my kids, but other people might not be aware of our boundaries. And it's just figuring out, like, is somebody taking more from us than you can give? And even with my kids, like the whole bathroom thing, it's like, if this door is closed, well, that didn't work anymore. So I had to lock it. It's like, okay, if it's closed, like, can you just give me some time on my own? Things like that. So just setting healthy boundaries with ourselves, people in our lives. So that's super important as well. And another big one that has really, really, really helped me in my own life. Actually, all these have, but this one has definitely been amazing, is gratitude. So when my world feels overwhelming, like maybe I'm struggling on the parenting side of things, and I just lean into gratitude, where I'm like, I am just so grateful that I am a mom. And then I have this, and it's like, it's so easy to get caught up in the negative, like, oh, this sucks. I have this to do. I have this to do. I have this to do. It's like, just looking for the things to be grateful for, like, having a home. Like, I know, like, there's a housing crisis right now, and I'm just grateful that we have a house, like, it's just so easy to get on that, like I said, the hamster wheel of negativity. It's like finding those little golden nuggets in our life, because there's so much to be grateful for. But it can be really hard sometimes when we're stressed out, when we're looking at all the negative, to see all the amazing parts in our lives. So just, if you're finding yourself, stressed out, overwhelmed about what needs to get done, take a minute to practice gratitude. And it can even become a practice. So it can be something you journal about in the morning or in the evening. It can be something you do around the table. Like I always loved doing this with my family. Getting the kids involved is, we have a little rock at the table and we'd pass it along. Like, we haven't been doing it lately because we all haven't been sitting down all the time together. Just because, one kid's going out and then the other kids anyways. But it's something I really love doing. And we just pass the rock around and we'd share what we're grateful for. We also have a gratitude jar. And now that our kids are old enough that they can write their own things out, I'd like to get that back in too. So sometimes, like we did this before when the kids were babies, and it was easier to do. And then we had to put it on hold. So in life, sometimes things work and other times they don't. And then it's just figuring out what works now, and then do it, and then until it doesn't, and then move on to something else and find out what, especially with kids, like every year is a new season, something new is happening. But practicing gratitude can really help you put your energy towards positive thoughts instead of negative. Because when we get into that negative mindset, then nothing productive, nothing good comes from that. So it's just practicing gratitude can really help you open your eyes and your heart to the things that are amazing in your life. So that's another amazing thing to do, is lean into gratitude. And you can practice it. And what I mentioned a while ago, if you can't sleep, is even going to bed. My favorite is still laying in bed and just thinking about all the things I'm grateful for. Like I call it a gratitude prayer, where I just list off like all the things I'm grateful for. So whatever works for you. But if you're finding yourself in that, spiraling out stage where you're just overwhelmed by everything, that life just feels heavy and busy and like just you don't even know which way's up anymore, sit down, possibly outside if you can, Stand on the grass, whatever works. Like, stand in the grass or on the sand, anything. Get into nature if you can. If not, don't overcomplicate it. And sit or be just for a minute and just think about some of the things you're grateful for. And I know I've probably shared this before, but when I was in a really dark place, I just gravitated on things like literally basic things that like I have hands that I can use, that I can walk, that I can see. Like I really went to like the simplest of things that I always took for granted. But if I didn't have it, I wouldn't you know what I mean? Like I really leaned into the basics. And then the more I practiced gratitude, the more I could see things to be grateful for. I even was grateful for a job that was paying my bills, even though I hated the job. Like I didn't focus on the hating part, but I focused on like, I'm so grateful that I have a job that I can pay my bills. So even in things that we might find frustrating, it could even be like, oh, I'm so grateful for my children. And even when like, you could be saying that when they're like having some feelies, like something's going on, or they're like saying something just because they're frustrated. Like you could be like, I'm so grateful for my kids. They give the best hugs, or like focus on something good from them in the middle of the chaos. And you can think of all the good things. It can be really good. Like I remember like a lot of the time, like I just want to go to bed and I want my oldest to go to bed. And I'm like, just go to bed. Like in my head, I'm like, but that doesn't help anybody. And then I don't go to bed in a loving way. Like I don't get to give my best at the end of their day. And I want them to go to bed with full loving hearts. So in my head, I'm like, I just love being a mom. Like I really ground myself in gratitude in all the chaos. So gratitude just really helps us find that kind of like focal, like centered peace, right? Like you just can get grounded in love instead of frustration or anger, or like any of those other things. Like love is so much stronger than all those other emotions. So that's why it's so important to like lean into something you're grateful for, because then you're putting love out there instead of frustration and overwhelm and all that. So it's really amazing. So I really encourage you with all this stuff that I just shared, even just implementing gratitude into your life, and whichever way that looks like to you. It can be like just realizing like when you're feeling overwhelmed to lean into it. It could be like on the daily fly, like wherever it's happening. It could be like, okay, when I feel overwhelmed, I'm going to focus on gratitude. Or it can be a daily practice, like that you're like every morning or every night or both, like whatever fits in. Like I always say, like, because I don't like telling you exactly what to do, because I don't know your every little detail of what's going on in your life. And what I do might not work for you or vice versa. But whatever way is going to have you have it happen, like whatever works for you, do that. Because if I tell you like, yeah, have a gratitude journal in the morning, or like lay in bed and be grateful, share all the things, like do a gratitude prayer. If those don't work for you, you're just not going to do it. So it's finding what works for you. Everybody is different. So it's finding out what works. I'm not a morning person. So to write down things in my journal in the morning, I'm not going to feel as deep into gratitude. And like I said, having a daily practice is great. But if you're not going to do that, then it's just having that tool when you're overwhelmed. Again, whatever is going to work for you. Always think about that. And it doesn't mean you can't try it a different way, and have an open mind. Sometimes we're just like, nope, that's not going to work. Well, try it. Give it a try. If it doesn't work, that's okay. Be like, okay, that didn't work. Let's try something different. Life is an adventure. Life is a journey. Try different things and see what works for you. And I just give examples of what has helped me and share other things I've worked with my clients or just different people in my life. And, throwing out everything that I know so far. I'm constantly learning myself. And some things that have worked for me in the past don't necessarily fit into my life right now. And that's why I've shared different ones that I used to do. So it's just finding out what works for you. Okay. The last one that I'm going to talk about, and this is a big one. Other than gratitude, like gratitude just makes everything magical, in my opinion, because then we're focusing on love instead of hate. Anyways, last one, big one, is stop looking outward and really start looking inward. So what am I talking about? Don't compare yourself to other people. If you find you're doing this when you're on social media, like your people are sharing things, maybe take a break from social media, or at least a little bit, or stop scrolling. The thing is, people put their best on social media, or sometimes. When I was on social media, I would try and do a combo of both, like highlights of awesome and like my struggles. But not everybody does. People put their best moments on there. And then if you're feeling down, you're not feeling at a good place yourself, and you see all these people doing awesome things, it can get you down and it can make you feel overwhelmed, like you're not doing enough. If that's the case, take a step back, figure out what's under that surface of yours. Like, why do you feel overwhelmed when you see other people having a good life? Like, what's going on there? Comparing ourselves only leaves us feeling more overwhelmed. And I know this because, like, even as a parent, I would see other people parenting their kids differently or doing something different. And actually a big one for me is I see a lot of people doing like this and that, and they're doing all these things after school and, all this stuff. And I had to like stop thinking about that. And like, yes, there's things to learn. Like my kids are now in Scouts because of a friend suggesting it and things like that. So like I said before, keep an open mind, but then figure out what works for you. So what I had to learn was everybody's different. My kids and I are highly sensitive. So we actually need a lot of time and space to breathe, to be our best selves. But that doesn't mean we just come home every day and do nothing. So it's finding this happy balance. And that's what I mean about figuring out what works for you. And when we look at other people's lives and we compare ourselves to their life, that's not fair to us or them, really. It's not fair though, because they have different personalities. They might have different schedules. They may have grandparents that live with them or that can help them daily. That was a big one for us. We didn't have grandparents. Even when we were in Ontario, they weren't like down the street, or they weren't super close. One was actually 2 hours away and the other was a half hour away. So we didn't always have family to rely on. So comparing yourself to somebody that has grandparents on the fly that can babysit them every weekend or whatever it is isn't fair to you. So it's okay to look at other people's lives, but when you find yourself comparing yourself, your living with the way other people live, that's not fair to you, because everybody's circumstances are different. Every single one. And with us, like if I kept my kids as busy as some other people I know, my kids would be a wreck by the end of the week. Our schedules can't be that packed. Yes, we can do things. We can do swimming. We can do these things. We can go on adventures. But not every single moment of our day can be scheduled in, because they need time to just play and be. Like my oldest loves reading. So on like library day, they're up in their room reading for like a couple hours. Like they just need some time alone. So it's understanding yourself, your family, and the people in your life, and do what works best for you. And then that's why when you look outside of yourself and you think you have to live like that, that's where the overwhelm comes, because you're not being true to you or your family. So it's really important to get to know you, yourself, your needs, your family's needs, and go from there. And like I said, there's no harm about like looking at other people's lives and like see what they're doing, because you might find something new out about yourself. If we always have heads down, not learning anything new, then we get into ruts and we don't actually get to see and experience new things. But it's the comparing part that can be harmful. And it can really make you stressed out. And I have fallen into that comparing trap a lot in the past. And it still comes up here and there a little bit now, when I'm like, oh, should we be doing more? And then I look at my life, I'm like, no, no, we do not. It is full enough. Like we need to have moments of just downtime. So, if you're finding yourself being overwhelmed because you're trying to keep up with the Joneses, like they say, take a step back and look inward and see what it is you need, how you want to live your life. No one else gets to dictate how you live your life. You get to figure out how you want to live it. and do that. However, I say that, and I know it's easier said than done. But honestly, like if you're finding yourself on social media, or like take yourself out of places that you're comparing yourself, or just be mindful. Be like, oh, there I go again. I'm comparing myself. Okay. Well, why am I comparing myself to them? And then take a step back and be like, well, I don't know what their whole story is. And like you can take nuggets of information that you've learned from there, but then take it back to you and be like, okay, well, is it something I actually want to do? Or is it something I want to do because somebody else is doing it? And actually, I want to leave on one more point is when we do feel like, oh, so-and-so is like going on trips, or you see somebody doing what you do really want to do, and then you feel down. Instead of feeling down, I encourage you to look at it differently. Gabby Bernstein shares, I believe it's in the Super Attractor book. If not, it's in the Universe Has Your Back, but I think it's in the Super Attractor one. In Super Attractor book is it's driftwood. So look at it as like if you keep seeing other people doing what it is you do want to do or have it as like a little wink from the universe that is possible. Somebody else is doing it already. It is possible. And like see it as like a little sign that you can do it too if you keep putting your foot forward. And so instead of thinking like, oh man, they did that, I want to do that. And like, why can they do that and I can't? Instead of getting in there, it's like, oh, they're doing it. Great. That's a sign that I can do it too. So sometimes it's just switching our perspective of things. And again, I know it can be easier said than done. However, the more you practice this technique, the more it'll be your default. You know, like comparing ourselves can be, I've been doing it. I've watched my family do it growing up all the time. So it can be our default, comparing ourselves to others, thinking we have to do what they're doing. But when you start doing a new habit, the more you practice it, the more it can become your new default. I hope this has helped. Remember, if you're feeling overwhelmed or stressed out and just like, you don't have enough time in a day, slow it down. Schedule things in. Ask for help. Look inward instead of outward. And practice gratitude. I hope you have a beautiful, beautiful day. Bye for now. And thank you again so much for listening. I am so grateful for you. Bye for now.